Hello everybody and welcome back to Principles of Game Design. This week we are going to be importing assets into our level from the Unreal Marketplace and Quixel Megascan library to spruce up our simple room that we built last module. To get us started, we're going to go ahead and launch Unreal real quick, and then we're going to go ahead and create a new Unreal project. We're going to go ahead and choose third person, blueprint, desktop, change your quality depending on your computer, and turn starter content off, because we're going to be adding in our own content once we've imported in. We also want to make sure that our project location is not on the C drive if we're on one of our lab computers. We're going to go ahead and go down to our external drive, go into our Principles of Game Design folder, put it inside of our Unreal Projects folder. Here we go, external Unreal Projects, and we're going to name this project Archive. And then we're going to hit create, and that's going to take a second, and I'll be right back as soon as it's done. Alright, Unreal has successfully opened my Archive project. Now I'm going to go ahead and minimize Unreal and come back to the Marketplace. So I'm going to click this Marketplace tab in my Epic Game Store app, and this is a community-driven market with a bunch of asset packs that you can add to any Unreal project. For our purposes though, I'm going to hover over this free tab, and I'm going to go down to the free for the month and permanently free collections. These are, as the names imply, things which you can buy and download into your projects for free. These range from sound effects to 3D assets to fully built levels and all sorts of other fun things. All you have to do is click this Add to Cart button on the bottom right corner of any of these, or open them up to get a little bit more detail about the given asset pack, and then come over to this top right shopping cart button and buy them for free. Now, once you've gone through the marketplace and downloaded some asset packs you might be interested in, go back over to the library tab and scroll down underneath your projects, and you'll reach the Vault section, which is a collection of all of the asset packs you have access to. Now, these asset packs vary in size greatly, so do be aware when you are adding them to your project. For instance, if I were to add this Downtown West modular pack to my project, I click the Add to Project button, go to my archive, and hit Yes. Then you'll notice that it's going to be downloading several gigabytes of information. Let's go ahead and cancel that. Instead, I'm going to grab some smaller ones, such as this Village pack. Let's go ahead and add that to my archive. And that's only 1.3 gigs, so that'll be nice. And let's also go ahead and add this Loft Office pack. And you'll notice that one says queued until this one finishes. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that going, and I'll be back as soon as those have been added into my project. Alright, now both of those asset packs should be inside my archive project, so if I reopen Unreal real quick, here we are, back in our archive. If I go ahead and hit Control Space, I have two new folders, the Fantastic Village and the Loft Office, which are the two packs that I added into my archive. Let's go ahead and dock this in Layout, just so that we don't lose it and I don't have to keep hitting Control Space. Now, because these packs are different, made by different people, they're going to be structured very differently. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a second content browser so that we can compare. Content Browser 2. Here we go. And we're going to go ahead and open up the Loft Office over here, and the Village pack over here. Now you can see that we've got a different range of folders, but some of them are fairly similar. We've got blueprints, maps, materials, meshes, and textures. Those are the ones we primarily care about for our purposes. We are not going to care too much about the animations or effects or anything else. Now, some of these asset packs also have some maps, so we're going to go ahead and open these up, and specifically I'm going to go to my village overview for now. Let's go ahead and open that up and move my content browsers out of the way. Now, this is what we call an asset zoo, and it lets us see everything that's inside of our pack. So we've got inside of this little village a couple of market stalls, some flags, some lamps, a bridge, normal stuff that you might see in a village. So the stuff that I primarily care about are maybe some of these potted plants, and over here, maybe some of this kitchen food. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and select a bunch of objects. Let's go with our cuts of meat, maybe. Some of these veggies, some bread. Let's also go ahead and grab some fruit. Maybe these mangoes. Corn's not a fruit. Okay, we'll just grab these down here then. Alright, ooh, bananas. Let's grab some bananas as well, and some apples. Alright, we've selected a bunch of food. You can see it over here in my outliner. I just held shift to click and select as much of that as possible. Go back to my content browser. Here we are. And what I'm going to do is in my outliner, I'm going to go ahead and right click my selections. And I'm going to go ahead and click this Browse to Asset button. And that's going to change my content browser to a selection of all of the things that I have selected. I currently am selecting this plane. I'm going to go ahead and control click that inside of my outliner to deselect it. But if I scroll down, I've got the apples, the bananas, and a bunch of other things selected. Let's see if there's a bowl that I can also select. There's a couple of bowls. Let's go ahead and select those as well. Alright. So now I've got a bunch of food and a bowl selected. I'm going to come back to my content browser and I'm going to right click one of these objects. And now inside of this drop-down, I'm going to go down to Asset Actions, and I'm going to click this Migrate button. Now what this is going to do is it's going to allow me to move my selected objects from this project over to my other project, the one where we built our simple room. And the reason I want to do that is if you remember back when we were importing this project, we were dealing with about a gigabyte of information. I don't want a gigabyte of information inside of my other project. I only want a couple pieces of fruit. So that's why we're doing this little migrate thing. So it's going to ask me to save this level. I'm going to tell it yes. And then it's going to give me this list, which contains all of the things that I need to migrate over to the other project. So we can see that inside of our games folder, I'm inside of my Fantastic Village folder. I am grabbing some materials, specifically my prop food material. And then I'm grabbing the apple, the bananas, the cucumbers, the mangoes, the meat, onion, and sausages, as well as some textures for my objects. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And then it's going to ask me where I want to put them. And by default, it asks me to put them inside of this project's content folder. We're inside of our archive, and it's asking me to put it inside of our content folder. We want to get out of this Unreal project, so I'm going to click my Unreal projects. And I'm going to go to my Intro to Unreal project. And once I'm in here, I'm going to open up our other content folder and click Select Folder. Alright, that'll take a bit, but once it's done, we can go ahead and go to our Unreal Projects folder, pop open our other project from last module, our Intro to Unreal project. Do be careful about opening multiple Unreal projects at the same time, depending on your machine. But let's go ahead and pop that open. Here we are inside our Intro to Unreal project. Let's go ahead and enter our little house and hit Control Space to open up our content browser. And we can see we now have our Fantastic Village Pack folder. And inside of that, we've got our materials, meshes, and textures. And in our meshes folder, we have some props, some food, and we've got all of the food we migrated from the other project. And we can go ahead and select it and drag it in, and it's already got its materials and all of the other information that it needs. Good. Now all we need up here is a kitchen. So let's quickly pop back to our archive folder. And I happen to have selected a different asset pack, our loft office, which has a kitchen in it. So let's go ahead and pop open our loft office. We'll go into maps, and they already have a pre-built kitchen. So I'm going to go ahead and open up this map. We don't need to save our village. And here we go. This is our kitchen map. And if we turn around, we've got a little eating area, and then over here we have our kitchen space. So all we have to do is the same thing we did in the other level, is hold Shift or Control, select a bunch of these kitchen assets. Let's go ahead and select these cabinets. There we go. Maybe let's also select the dining table and some of these stools, and why not, let's select the plant in the corner. Alright, we've got all of that selected. So we're going to right-click in our outliner, browse to asset. That'll pop open our content browser with our asset selected. We're going to right-click one of our selected assets, go to Asset Actions, Migrate. It's going to give me a list of all of the things it needs to migrate. We're going to tell it OK. We're going to make sure that we're in our Intro to Unreal content folder, and we'll hit Select Folder. That'll take a bit. And then we just need to come back to our other Unreal project. Whoop. And if we hit Control Space, go back to our main content folder, we now have our Loft Office folder. And in here we have our meshes, which we use to build up our kitchen. So we're going to pick a wall up here, and we're going to go ahead and build up that same kitchen. So we've got our little sink. Let's make sure that's facing the right way. We've got our kitchen corner. It's a little bit dark in here. Let's add some lights. Let's go ahead and very quickly drag in a couple of point lights that we can use just while we're working. Hold Shift and Alt to drag a copy of this light over here. There we go. Now I've got some light to work with. Let's go ahead and rotate the rest of the kitchen pieces around. Drag in the rest of them. Woo. Control Space. Drag them in. Here's our kitchen counters. Let's go ahead and put the long one over here, the short one over there. We are missing the roof of our kitchen countertop. There we go. Need to rotate that 90 degrees. Is this piece of kitchen counter facing the right way? It was. Okay, good. And let's make sure that the piece we are putting on top of it is also facing the right way. Let's drag it up and hit the End key. Snap it down on top of our kitchen countertop. Let's see which way we're facing. I'm going to drag it underneath the light to make sure it's facing the right way. Woo! Come back. It is not. Rotate it 180 degrees, and then bring it back on top of our kitchen counter. I don't like that it snaps. Alright, 1, 2, 3. There we go. Line it up on top of our kitchen counter, hit End, and move it nice and in the middle. Good. There we go. So now we've got our pieces of kitchen. Let's go ahead and put them all up against the wall. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and select one piece. Line it up as best we can. I don't have my grid snap tool on. Let's go ahead and turn that on. Put that on 10. Let's make sure that these are nice square numbers. I'm going to go 1450. Woo! Where did you go? Come back. It's currently 4466. Alright, so we'll go 4460 then. There we go. Snap to grid. 1674, 1670. And then we'll move it up and hit End to snap it to the floor. Same thing with this piece. Up and end. Up and end. Ooh. Drag it back underneath that. There we go. And same thing with you. Up and end. Just to make sure that they're all snapped properly to the floor. Then we'll grab our sink, push it up against the wall. Don't ask me why the sink is on the second floor of this house. Okay, and now we know the Y position that it needs to be in, which is 4570. So we're going to go ahead and copy paste that into all our other pieces. For our stovetop and cabinets underneath, we're going to go ahead and group them, Control G. And I have this group actor. We're going to go ahead and deselect it, reselect it, hit paste inside of this multiple values section. See if that works. There we go. And same thing over here. So now we have all four pieces up against the wall. Now we just need to make sure that they line up next to each other. We're going to go ahead and move our group. We'll move you so that you're next to it. Double check to make sure that they are nice and flush together by moving our light. They are most definitely not. There's a little gap in between them. So we'll go ahead and, ooh, I'm right clicking. left click, drag it over. Let's turn off our snap for a second. There we go. Make sure they're nice and flush. Good stuff. Same thing with this. Pull them nice and close together. And our last piece of kitchenware. Pull that in. Great. And now that all of the pieces of our kitchen are next to each other, we're going to go ahead and select them all. And Control G to group them one more time. And we're going to move them into the corner. Whoop. And this will be our little kitchen area. And we want to, once again, make sure that it's up nice and flush with the wall back here. Looks perfectly fine to me. Alright, now let's go ahead and delete this light. And we'll drag in a real one. I'm going to hit Control Space. We're going to go back to our starter content. We're going to go ahead and grab those ceiling lights that we used on the bottom floor. Drag that up. And we'll put a couple just above our kitchen. Let's go into our orthographic view to make sure that we are properly lined up to the ceiling. Let's go into our right view, hit F. Ooh, we need to bring it down quite a bit. Stick it just underneath our ceiling. There we go. Let's have 2 or 3 of these, and let's pull them out from the corner. We'll put one there. Whoop. And one just next to it over here. There we go. Maybe we'll pull them back a bit more. About there feels good. Alright, now here's my little kitchen area. Time to add some food. So let's go ahead and open up our content browser. And we're going to start dragging some food in. So here's our bananas. Let's go ahead and add in a cucumber. Let's also go ahead and add in the cut in half cucumber. There we go. Let's see if the kitchen in the archive had a pot where we can put our meat. So we're going to go ahead and pop back over to our archive real quick. Whoop. Let's see if we have any pots, pans, or other dishes. Doesn't look like it from the level. Let's double check our content browser real quick. See if we can't find a pot. Just scroll through it real quick. No, it doesn't appear we have a pot in here. We do have some plates. No pans for the kitchen? Oh, let's go double check our other asset pack. We're going to go ahead and go back to content. Go to our fantastic village. Let's see if we have meshes, props. We're going to look for food. We've got some bowls. We've got some cast iron cooking pots. Well, looks like we're doing some old-fashioned stew. I want to migrate one of those cooking pots. Let's go ahead and grab this one, because this one looks like it'll fit better on a stove. So we're going to right-click it, Asset Actions, Migrate, over to our Intro to Unreal Content folder, hit Select, and we're going to get this message saying that there already exists some of the assets. We're going to go ahead and hit Yes, because all it's trying to re-import are the materials. So we're just going to go ahead and hit Yes. Nothing has changed. Let it do its work, and then we'll pop over to our other project again. Now we've successfully migrated those objects over. Let's go back to our third-person map inside our Intro to Unreal project. Reopen our content browser. Here's our cooking pot. Let's slap that down on the stove, shrink it down so that it's appropriate to the scale of this world. And you'll notice that our fruit and our cooking pot don't quite match the style of our kitchenware. And that's because our village was a stylized asset packs and our kitchen was photorealistic. So you want to be very careful about what sort of assets you are matching with which. So we've got our cooking pot, we've got some fruit lying on our kitchen counter. Let's go ahead and also grab those stools that we imported. Let's open up our content browser, go back to content, go into our office, go into mesh, and let's grab our kitchen table and these stools. Whoop. Drag those in, And I'm actually going to go ahead and line them up against the wall this way, underneath our lamps. So we'll go ahead and put this here. That feels about right. But I do want it aiming towards the kitchen, actually, because we've got cabinets on this side. So we'll just go ahead and rotate them around this way. Go ahead and move our potted plant out of the way. Then we'll move our kitchen counter back over here. We want to make sure that it's flush with the wall. There we go. And then let's go ahead and put the stools on this side of the bench. One right here, and then hold Alt to drag a copy. Give it a little bit of rotation so that it feels a little different from the other stool. And then we'll put the potted plants. Let's put one over here, and another one on the end of this counter. There we go. And now we have a little kitchen nook. So that is how you migrate assets from the marketplace into your level. Join me in the next video where we go over importing Quixel Megascans.